Good morning and welcome back to Mona's Take. I am your host, Mona Rose, and we are here to talk about everything reality TV. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything I have coming up. This episode, Big Brother Live Feeds, they are back. We have the backyard back, and I'm going to go ahead and film what I have right now. Right now it is 9:30 Big Brother time. There's so much to catch y'all up on, so I'm going to go ahead and do this tonight, and then it'll be posted early in the morning, and then I'll do one again tomorrow night. So let's jump right in because we got a lot to cover. People are acting on a whole nother level on that. Can't wait to see that karma train coming through. Choo-choo. Mood of the day. Really? You gotta give us more credit than that. Some people, buckle up, buttercup. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. The feeds start out this morning. We still don't have the backyard at this point. And Taylor and Monty are fixing breakfast, and Jasmine walks in and goes back to her room. And Taylor said, "I feel like I'm putting a dog down. You know, it's so sad," talking about Jasmine. And Monty said, "That's an interesting way to look at it, especially since the dog has been really good lately." And then Monty tells her that he had a dream. And he's not, they've had this whole dream thing going on between all of the house guests. And he says, I never dream. Well, last night before they went to bed, Taylor had gotten into her bed and she spilled water. So she decided to go get in the bed next to Monty in the car room because that was the only room that she had not slept in yet. So he gets up this morning telling her that he had a dream and that she was in it. And she said, "Oh, really? Do tell." Well, he tells her the first part of the dream. He says there's a two-parter. He tells the first part and it has nothing to do with her. She wasn't in it. And she's like, "All right, so when did I come in?" And he said, "You were in the second part." And she said, "So what was that?" And he's like, "I don't know. I can't remember." And then she's like, "Oh, so I wasn't memorable?" He's like, "Well, it's not that." He's like, "I know it had something to do with the game and cameras." He's like, "But that's all I can remember." Yeah, he had that long, nice talk with Taylor last night. Apologized to her profusely. He's been following her around the house ever since Joseph's been in the backyard. And then he has a dream about her last night. And they say Monty don't have a crush on her. I don't buy it. I think he's crushing on Taylor. They say Terrence isn't going to let Alyssa go home. That's why he picked her first, because he wants to protect her. So it has to be one of the boys. And then the feeds were on and off for a long period of time this morning. And everybody was in the HOH room like it was a lockdown. But normally if they're having a lockdown, we don't get to see what goes on in that HOH room. I know they're not allowed to talk game. They're all in there together. And it looked like they woke them up out of bed and they went straight up there. Because Brittany had her blanket, Jasmine had her blanket. They all were not even awake yet. And they were just talking BS and back and forth. So I thought that was weird. It was a long time they were up there. Well, then they come out and they go downstairs. And Taylor said, "Oh, they've been in the house." And somebody said, "Who's been in the house?" And she's like, "The backyard, they've been in the house." And Joseph said, "How do you know?" And she said, "Because they were doing maintenance on the backyard, so they had to be in the house." Evidently, they could hear the maintenance crew doing something. It shows Brittany and Michael talking, and Brittany says that no one's going to take a shot at Terrence because everyone thinks that they can beat him in the end. She thinks that Terrence is going to be drugged to the end like Derek was last year. They said that they need to stress that the boys have had a week to bond in the backyard, just like the 4 insiders have, and that that's going to bring them closer together and that they're going to be on the outs from the boys because they're going to get so tight out there. Brittany is really stressing that her and Michael are going to end up on the block next week. She's had a bad feeling for 2 days now. She says she can't shake it. She just has a bad feeling about Thursday's HOH. The feeds go down again this evening. They were off for about 2.5 hours. And when they came back on, we finally got the backyard. It was a bit before we could get any information because it just showed them in the backyard mingling, being in the pool, whatever, but no real game talk going on. I told you guys that Spoiler Girl had said that Terrence took Turner off the block and put Kyle up. And he did. It took a while to figure that out. But she was correct. It looks like they put some kind of cover on the backyard. The way they were describing it, it's like a tarp of a sort. They're complaining about not being able to see the planes, not being able to see the sun, not being able to see the stars, not being able to see the planes that go over. At one point, Terrence was talking to Alyssa, and he was like, "Oh shit, tell me no." And she looked up, and she's like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, I thought that was a drone." And he's like, "Not again." Or something to that effect. So I'm thinking that another reason that they get the feeds down is because they had drones flying overhead. So this tarp, I'm thinking, is going to eliminate that. It sounds like it's really, really thick because they said that no air is getting through, that they normally have a breeze in the backyard. They don't have that now. So I think that that also may help with the wall yellers not being able to hear. Alyssa said, well, at least it helps with the bugs. And then about that time, the mosquitoes started coming out. So I don't guess it helps too well. Terrence said, I wonder what happened. He's looking up at it, and he said, I wonder what happened that they had to put that up there. So that tells me they've seen the drones, but they did not hear the wall yeller. Because none of them seemed to understand why that tarp was being put up. They were all pissed. Turner looks like he is miserable beyond belief. None of them like it. They're talking about it being hot. They're talking about not being able to see the sun and the stars and the moon and all of that. So I don't think that they heard whatever was being yelled. Like I said, I heard it on Twitter. I saw the video, and I couldn't make out what they were saying. And I thought maybe it was because I was so close to, that whoever was recording it was so close to the bullhorn that it was jumbled. But evidently, the outside house guest did not hear it either. And whatever they put up, they had to clearly go in and change all of the camera angles. You can't see the upstairs at all in none of the shots. All the cameras are pointing downward. So you get, like, right before the second level starts, where the staircase starts, or the upstairs starts. Below that, you can see below that, but nothing, you can't see the upstairs at all. So they've had to go in and change all the camera angles as well. Turner is off the block. He made some kind of smart comment, and Alyssa said, you better watch it. And he said, I don't need to watch it. I'm not on the block anymore. And they were all sitting around the table together. And then Kyle said something about him being on the block. So Terrence did use the veto. He took Turner off and put Kyle up. And like I said, Turner just looks miserable. He says that all the tarp is going to do is make it feel like they're in an oven. He said they're basically indoors but outside. So, like I said, you can't see it from any of the camera angles. So, I'm just going based on what they're talking about, how they're describing it. And it took me a long time to get caught up with the different conversations. I just felt so lost. So bear with me. Because the conversation's going to jump around. Joseph told Terrence, if you give it to me, I'll make sure I throw it to you. A debt will be repaid with a debt. And Turner can go with me so you know I'm being honest. He can watch what's being said and come back and report to you. And Terrence said, I just want one more time before I go. And Joseph said, as long as I have you and Alyssa and Turner, I'm not even going to say trust me anymore. I'll show you you can trust me. He said, y'all will know I'm locked in. And Turner will be following me around so you'll know if I'm flaking. He said, I'm going to put methods in place so that I have no choice but to protect y'all. He said, if it looks like you're going up on the block, he said, I will cause such a smoke screen and bring so much attention to myself that they put me up instead of you, that I'm the one that'll go home. I'll sacrifice my game for yours. He said, the good thing is we've got Turner and he's trustworthy. He'll keep me in check. And he'll definitely be able to pull us through. Joseph said, if you give me a second life, I'll make sure to give you one, even if it comes at the cost of mine. This conversation between him and Joseph went on for a long time. It was probably a good hour plus conversation. So I'm trying not to repeat because he was repeating a lot of stuff. He was gaslighting. He was just constantly, he's fighting to stay in. So he was just constantly talking. Every once in a while, Terrence would get a word in. But this was all Joseph. Joseph said he can hear the insiders and says they're clapping it up in there. They're chopping it up in there. They got hamburgers and some takeout tonight. I really, to be honest, have not watched the inside feeds at all since the outside feeds came back on. I will go back and do that after I get this video done. Because I just had so much to catch up on the backyard. I didn't want to miss anything. And it's been constant conversations. The ants have taken over the outside sleeping area. So they've had to clean all that up. Joseph's still talking to Terrence. And he said that he's going to give Terrence a second chance. And that he's willing to risk his game for Terrence and Alyssa. I'm not buying it. You're not going to work this hard to try to stay in the game 1 week to just give you another week, the very next week, for you to throw your game away for the same person. I don't buy it. I don't think Terrence buys it. Joseph does sound desperate, and he needs to. He knows that his butt's on the line and that he could be going home. So he's just trying to do anything he can and see what sticks. And Kyle's just looking too comfortable. Kyle's not nervous. It's just another day in the backyard. He doesn't look like you wouldn't even know he was on the block. So I think Joseph does know that it's him. Terrence said, why do you think they betrayed you? And Joseph said, are you talking about Kyle or are you talking about them in the house? And he said, I'm talking about them in the house. Why do you think they betrayed you? I'm not quite sure who they is unless he's talking about Brittany and Michael and lumping them together. But Joseph said, because they know if I walk in the door with you guys, then they know I gave y'all my word, and they know I won't break it. He says, I will never forgive Michael for what he did. I will never forgive him. You don't know the conversations we had beforehand. promises being made, and him saying, "Don't worry, bro, I got you." He says, "I will never forgive him for that." So I guess at some point, Terrence told Joseph that Michael set this up. I don't know. It was sometime during the feeds, so I don't know exactly what was said in that conversation, but Joseph is well aware that Michael's the one that set this in motion. Joseph said, "It's all Michael's fault." And then he said, "It's all Michael's fault." He said, "I didn't win." He said, "But he put me through this." He said, "They must think I'm an idiot if I don't think the four of them have locked in," talking about the ones on the inside, Monty, Brittany, Michael, and Taylor, and that they don't think this is a new game. They would think I was an idiot to believe that. He said, "I know them, and I know they're having those conversations, saying if Joseph comes back, he's going to be working with the outsiders, and that's a new game." And Joseph tells Terrence, "I know what I got with you guys. I'm not going to the unknown." Terrence said, "If you can get Turner to flip, that's what I need." I'm sorry. If Terrence believes anything Joseph is selling right now, he's a worse player than what I thought he was. Like I said, nobody's going to say, "Oh, save me this week, but I'll go next week to cover you." That's not going to happen. If you're fighting that hard to stay in the house, you're going to continue to fight to stay in the house once you get back inside. But I've got to give it to him. He's not done. He's fighting. He's pissed at Kyle. He's pissed at Michael. He's talking about Kyle's showmance has carried him through the game. I have to disagree with him on that. It's not carried him through the game. If anything, it's made a bigger target on his back. Joseph said, "This is Big Brother Part 2. Part 1 is over." Joseph walks off. And Terrence is, the whole time this conversation is going on, Terrence is laying in his bed. And you can just see that he's like, "Just please stop talking. Just please stop talking." So Joseph gets up and he walks off. Terrence looks at the picture of his wife and says, "I need your help, babe. I use my heart to make Big Brother decisions. I use my heart." About that time, Alyssa walks over to talk to him. And Terrence tells Alyssa that he feels like Michael is paranoid and trying to protect himself because he knows that he's going to be vulnerable this week because he can't compete in the HOH competition. So he's trying to be in the best position he can be. So let's take out strong players so that when we come back in, we will be like, "Oh my God, Michael, thank you." And we will praise him for whatever the hell it is he thinks he's doing right now. That's got me to believing that he's at least considering keeping Joseph a little bit. He said that would be great if Monty's not in the house. And Alyssa said, "Jasmine has a way with words. She's real convincing." He said, "I sure hope so." Alyssa says that Taylor has already said that she wouldn't vote Jasmine out. She didn't say she wouldn't vote Jasmine out. She said she wouldn't put Jasmine up, that she couldn't be the reason Jasmine went home. So I guess that's kind of saying she wouldn't vote her out. But it all comes down to, even if she doesn't cast a vote for Jasmine, which she's already said she's going to, but if she was saying, "Okay, I can't vote against Jasmine," then Brittany would. It would be a tie. Michael would break it, send Jasmine home. So Alyssa says maybe Jasmine is convincing and Michael will go ahead and take the shot at Monty. Terrence said he needs to take the shot. the shout out here is being taken. So whoever wins HOH, whether it's you or Kyle, the block should be Michael and Taylor. And Alyssa said, you and I were the only ones that weren't in this alliance. So when we go back in, are you going to say that he spilled the beans on his way out? And I know all this shit, or what are you going to do? And he said, I'm going to just keep it under my hat. He said, I'm already going to be public enemy number one with Jasmine. He said, I'm already going to be public enemy number one with Taylor. And he said, and if they don't get rid of Monty and he's in there, then I'm going to be public enemy number one with Monty as well. He said, so why add any more fuel to the fire? So that's where we are at 9:30 tonight. By the time I get this edited and posted and go back, I'll probably have about an hour and a half to catch up on. So I'll have more for you guys tomorrow, but I wanted to get this out there. I know everybody's been dying to know what's going on in the backyard. I have been. When those feeds came back on tonight, I'm like, okay, catch up. The feeds are back. Let's catch up. So that's all I have for you guys right now. I'll have some more tomorrow. I'm going to go back, watch the feeds, get this posted. Let me know what you think in the comments. And until then, much love.